You know what it feels like to go to your own funeral. This is an interesting room. The Hinkley Institute of Politics did not exist when I graduated from the University of Utah. But the second portrait along here, J.D. Williams, was one of my teachers. And I begin every class with the people who come to our internship classes by quoting J.D. Williams. When J.D. Williams was teaching me as an undergraduate, he would begin his course by saying, "I am a liberal Democrat. And I tell you that in the beginning as a warning so that you can appropriately disallow or discount my biases in advance." And I say to the students, I'm a conservative Republican. Now, I know there are some who would dispute that, who would insist that I'm not entitled to make that claim. I say to them, look guys, the first person I voted for was Dwight Eisenhower. I stuck with the party through Barry Goldwater. I supported Ronald Reagan. I served in the Richard. You are the Republicans in name only. I'm the real thing. I say, okay, like J.D. Williams, I'm a conservative Republican. Be prepared to discount or to make allowances for or dismiss the biases that come with that background, and be prepared to argue with me. They're always a little leery about that. They're always a little, well, now do we really want to argue with Senator Bennett about this? And we have to do our best, Tim and I, to get them to open up a little. And then it comes, and pretty soon we get into some very interesting give and take as the students come forward with their view. And they're all over the lot with their political views as they come in. I always ask them information about themselves at the beginning, and begins to come out, well, I was an intern for Congressman Chaffetz. Well, I was an intern for Congressman Matheson. Well, I did this all comes along, and we say, that's fine. The one I cherish the most, and it kind of happened right from this podium, young girl sitting roughly where Tim is sitting, very, very attractive young freshman girl, in love with all things Obama. And she was very enthusiastic about it, and she couldn't contain herself, and the conversation would go forward, and it would come spewing out. You know, all things, and she'd come at me, and I'd go back at her, and we'd have this dialogue. And then at the end of the course, she would always come up one-on-one and apologize. I really didn't mean to come on, and I'd say, no, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. Keep it up and feel free. And she would do that the next time, and then she would apologize. We'd go through all of this. Well, at the end of each program, I asked the question, what did you learn? Because it's one thing to know what I said, but it may be different in what they received. And I would like to get to know, what did you really learn here? And in the effort, as Tim is so generously, all of you, much too generous. And I don't complain at all. Thank you completely for that. And this young lady, you know, she got She said, "You're my favorite Republican," was her conclusion. Sitting next to her was a young man, more her age, obviously, who was the chairman of the college campus Republicans. And when she said to me, "You're my favorite Republican," he said, "I thought I was." I don't know what kind of friendship or courtship or whatever it may be sprung up between the two of them, but I noticed he always managed to sit next to her, no matter what the seating arrangement was. And later on, 2 or 3 courses later, she showed up, just walked in the middle of the class. And of course, we greeted her and hello, and "What are you doing here?" And she said, "I just wanted to give Senator Bennett a hug." So, given her height, she hugged my belt buckle and wished each other well. The students are wonderful, and they do react, and they do come forward, and we have these kinds of interactions. Now, if I tell them anything that sticks, I do my best to tell them these things. Number one, I tell them at the beginning of the course, you have opinions, and you have principles and concepts in politics, and you should have. But hold them forever tentative. Be prepared to change in the face of new information. Be prepared to adjust when new information comes along and shows you that maybe that concept was not exactly right as you held on. And I repeat the phrase forever tentative throughout the course to help them understand that. Because most of the problems come from those who are not in any way ever going to change their position or opinions on any subject, whether it be the right or the left. Eric Hoffer's description of the true believers is a description of people who are dangerous in society because they will not change and they will not learn. I understand there are people in the university who will not let the students bring their electronics with them. When you're in my class, you don't have your iPad, you're taking notes. They all bring their iPads and they correct me. They're on the iPads, and when I say, "No, I can't remember quite such and such," they look it up. And we have that collaborative kind of experience. I quote my father. My father, in addition to being a politician of accomplishment, was a very wise man. And when I came to the University of Utah, the question was, what are you going to major in? I tell this story to the students a little. Tim is nodding. He's heard all of this before. It's in the 3.5 pages of notes. 3.5 inches of notes he's got. Well, it was clearly understood that my career was going to be at the Bennett Glass and Paint Company, founded by my grandfather, presided over by my father until he went into politics, and then my uncle. And I went to work at the Bennett Glass and Paint Company when I was 14. I had a 10-year service pin when I graduated from the University of Utah, because I took 2 years off to go on a mission. I got to the 10-year mark and had the little service pin like all of the other old fogies at the Bennett Glass and Paint Company. So my father said, "Don't major in business, because I can teach you more about the paint business in 6 months than anybody at the university knows. Now, he said, take enough accounting that you can draw up a balance sheet and find your way around a profit and loss statement. Take enough economics so that you understand how the system works. But don't major in business. He said, I am sending you to college to learn how to think. And if you learn how to think, that will be more valuable for you for the rest of your life after the facts that you memorize and regurgitate on a test have long since been forgotten. Well, the Bennett Glass and Paint Company is no more. Could not survive in a world of Lowe's and Home Depot, where you can buy paint and all the rest of that. The concepts that I learned at the University of Utah of how to think have served me all my life. And I do my best to channel G. Homer Durham, this experience at this university. Homer Durham was the head of the political science department, and he said, as the head of the department, it is my responsibility to teach the department's most important class. And the department's most important class is Poli-Sci 1. None of this 101 stuff, computers. We were very basic. It was Poli-Sci 1, Poli-Sci 2, and Poli-Sci 3. And he gave me a concept, gave all of us a concept of the political world and how things worked and how important they were, that I have kept all the way through and that I referred to mentally notes, although I still have some of the notes from that first class while I was serving in the Senate, and would put it in the matrix of what Homer Durham taught and find that it would be very helpful all that many years later. Now, what I tell the students, and it comes back to what is inscribed on the back wall, that I hope survives the destruction of this building and is repeated. Jim, I'm a lobbyist in favor of it to see that your father's words survive in whatever building the Hinkley Institute goes to. Our young best minds must be encouraged to enter politics. Why? That's not a popular thing to do. The pollster who talked to the woman in New Hampshire to ask her for whom she voted, she said, I never vote. It only encourages them. We are at a key moment in the history of civilization that requires our best minds involved in politics. I say to the students, this is not a poli-sci class, this is a class in poli-sci, economics, and history, because you cannot separate them. And the proposition I put forward in the class is that it all starts with economics. Society begins with people seeking a way to provide the necessities of life and go through the process whereby they trade, commerce, get wealth, and then wonderful things start to happen when you get significant increases in productivity. Because as human beings get more benefit from their output, from their input, as they get more output from the work, these are the things that happen. Wealth is created. That creates the opportunity for commerce, which is further productivity in human activity, creating more wealth. This is a virtuous cycle. And these are the byproducts